Hello children, welcome to NEET WORLD. This is Narayani, I am your foundation faculty. So yesterday children, we discussed about the new category of the viruses. They are not considered as a living organisms, right children? So we discussed the last category of the microorganisms, that is virus, but it have the very specific case. It is not considered as a living and non-living also. It is between the borderline in between living and non-living. So just fastly before recapping the yesterday topic children, I took a very important news for you. We are starting the summer camp course after every 15 days children. The new batch is started for every 15 days, and children, so in this summer camp you get the detailed concepts of based on the exams of NEET and JEE examination. The subjects covered by us are physics, chemistry, biology and mathematics. So you can get through the basic level to the higher level concepts children in very detailed way, and our mode of learning is through digital panel. You can get wonderful videos and wonderful animations to get to know the concept very well in detailed way. So, and we are in that program, we are creating the 2 days of activity based learning, and we are keeping weekly quizzes and also cumulative assessments of every month, and we are engaging you the basic, what is the concepts which are very most important topics from the examinations of NEET and JEE. Before children, and one more important thing, we are giving you the career guidance children. One-on-one interactions of the doubt clearing sessions will be there, and also career guidance. What you want to become, we help you we guide what the way to choose to achieve your goals. We will all give you the career guidance also. So this is wonderful program children, and first 1 week class are absolutely free. For the offline people, you can come to the offline mode also and online mode also. For offline people, you can happily come to our institute name called NEET WORLD, present in Hyderabad, Narayanguda near metro station. Coming to the online people, the down scrolling number is there, no children. So contact with that number with us. Thereby we can connect through, and we connect through you, and we explain the details of our the course details and all that, and will give you the access of 1 week free classes children. So don't miss the opportunity, it is a wonderful opportunity children. So this is about the summer camp course of the NEET WORLD institution. So let's fastly recap the yesterday's session children. So we discussed about the fascinating topic of viruses. Is viruses are considered as a living or non-living? Of course, they are not considered they are not considered as a living also, non-living also, right? Some of the debates also, till now they are, there's so many debates of the scientists. We become, some are they saying living and some are they are saying non-living. It is in the it in the borderline between the living and non-living. As they are microscopic, of course yes, they are microscopic and non-cellular. They doesn't having any cellular functions not happens in it, right children? So they are ultra microscopic. Is the viruses can see through the light microscope? Absolutely no. They can see through only the electron microscope. Electron microscope, it magnifies more than the light microscope. It magnifies up to 2 lakh times, right? So that is why to see the viruses, the scientists mostly use the electron microscope. In the electron microscope widely present in the big research institutions, right children? In big laboratory research institutions, we have found the electron microscope. In schools, colleges, universities, we mostly found the light microscope only, right? So what is we discussed, they are borderline between living and non-living. They are non-cellular, which means they don't have any cellular functions present in it. They doesn't have any cellular functions until it find the host. It does not performs any activities, right? After the find the host, it it take over the machinery of the host, and it can synthesize its own army, and then at last it destroys the host itself, right children? That is why we considered virus as a non-living characteristics. Based on the living characteristics, when it find the host, it is multiplying its its own kinds. That is why we are considering that it is a living characteristic. So children, These are the examples of the viruses. So, see what more we discussed, children. So, key characteristics of viruses. There is the virus is smaller than the bacteria or not? Of course, yes. Viruses are smaller than the bacteria. So, cannot be seen with light microscope. They can only seen with the electron microscope only. The lack of cellular structures, that is what that does not perform until it finds the host, it does not perform any functions. So, they are not capable of, there is the viruses can capable of independent life? Absolutely no. They cannot, they are capable of independent life. They until they found the host, then it take over the machinery of the host, and then it it synthesis their own kind of species. So, their own kind of viruses. So, not considerably, that is why we are not considering them as a living organisms. So, next, virus reproduction and spread. When the virus will reproduce, when they produce its own kinds, when they produce own kinds means until it found the host. In the humans also virus will attack. So, they use the energy of the host cell for reproduction. After producing, thousands of viruses will be found. See, if this is a cell, children, after attacking the virus, it take out the machinery of the cell and it find its own kinds. It produces its synthesis. What is meant by synthesis? Synthesis means production, children. They produce its own kinds. After utilizing all the content in the cell, it lyses the cell. Lysis means burst the cell. It bursts the cell and attack. Another more cells will be there, no, children? In humans, there are nearly about 3.72 trillion cells are present in human body. So, it attacks the another cells. The army, which is produced by the viruses, which attack the many of the cells. And then again they take over the machinery of the cell and they produce their army and again lyses the cell. If it is continuous, what will happen, children? It will destroy the cell. But in our body, the memory cells have the how to define the microorganisms, viruses and all that. That will, through that it will help to it helps us to prevent from the viruses. So, new virus spread invade the other cells, of course, yes. So, virus infect bacteria are called, the virus which infect bacteria are called bacteriophages. The bacteriophages are the mostly affect the humans. In the gut of the human intestine, what is the bacteria present, children? It is the E. coli. It attacks the E. coli, then it is it takes the machinery of it hijacks the cells of the humans and then it spreads. So, this cause a virus cause serious diseases, especially in important crop plants. It is not only children, for the humans and animals, it causes to the plants also. Very serious diseases are seen by the viruses in crop plants. The study of viruses, we call it as virology. So, these are the living non-living characteristics of the viruses. What are the non-living characteristics? They doesn't have cell wall and cell organelles or cytoplasm. They doesn't have any cell wall, organelle, cytoplasm, but they have the genetic material, children. That is helpful in when they find the host, then it will reproduce itself. They produce their own army, they produce their own species by taking over the machinery of the host cell. So, they cannot multiply on their own because they have to dependent on the other organisms. They do not respire, they do not they do not breathe. The exchange of gases should not be there. They are they are inert, they cannot able to move until it finds the host. Can be crystallized and stored food for long periods, but the genetic material will be safe because of the crystalline structures made around it. The crystalline structure is made up of fats and lipids. So, fats and proteins. Dependent entirely living host cell is a biological activities and survival. It is totally dependent upon the biological activities of the other organism. But because it doesn't have any biological activities. Coming to the living characteristics, they can mutate, they can reproduce when they found the host. They contain either the DNA or the RNA. It is enclosed by a protein coat, children. So, the protein coat is made up of proteins and fats. They can respond heat, chemicals and radiations. They transmit from disease to healthy hosts. If it is affecting this cell. Then after the lysis, the species of its own kinds can attack the other cells too. Then again it takes out the machinery and it will attack the new cell. Right children? So can reproduce inside the host cell producing many copies. Show irritability, this trait we can, trait means characteristics. These characteristics saying that virus is a living organism. That is why virus are between the living and non-living characteristics. So this is what up to we studied at children, and we concluded that virus shows both characteristics of both living and non-living beings also. What are the traits? Traits means characters. Trait means characters. It exhibits the characters of both living also, non-living also. That is why they are in the borderline in between. They reproduce only, but they reproduce only inside the, how they can increase its own kinds by the, when they found the host, which is why scientists consider them as on the borderline between the living and non-living. This is up to we studied in yesterday class children. So let's start today's session. So first, who identified the viruses? Who identified the viruses are smaller than the bacteria, right? So discovery of virus is very fascinating story. 1 minute children. Okay. So discovery of viruses first occurs in the, first scientists saw in the tobacco plant children. The tobacco plant is affected by the tobacco virus. So the Russian scientist, for the first virus discovered by the Russian scientist named Dmitry Ivansky in 1892. He was studying the disease of the tobacco plants. That disease we call it as tobacco mosaic disease. First, which scientist found the virus children? Those who the scientist named Dmitry Ivansky stated that he found in the tobacco plants. The tobacco plants affected the diseases tobacco mosaic virus, and found that something is smaller than the, they found that something which is smaller than the bacteria, they found that. So they say, he only said that viruses is smaller than the bacteria. Then after the further studies in 1898, a Dutch scientist, so Dmitry Ivansky is a Russian scientist, and the next Dutch scientist named M. Bejernik continued the work and coined the term virus. Who said this name, the virus, who kept the name children? The scientist, Bejernik coined the term viruses. He said that the smaller organisms than the bacteria are referred as, they coined the term as viruses. He called it is a contagium vivium fluid, which means, which is infectious fastly through air, through water and all that. So meaning is contagium living fluid, which can able to transfer easily. So infections travels very easily. So the scientist who discovered first children, the Russian scientist named Dmitry Ivansky, in the year 1982, he saw in the tobacco plants. He named the disease caused by the tobacco mosaic disease. He found that some of the organisms are smaller than the bacteria. He found that. So later the further studies, the Dutch scientist Bejernik continued the work, and he given the name of the viruses. The smaller than the bacteria microbes, he called them as viruses, and he said that it is easily infectious. It is easily infected, he said. That is why he said contagium vivium fluid. It is a contagious living fluid. So this is what the history about the viruses children. So is the viruses are smaller, right children? Is the another smaller than the viruses will be also there, no? So they are virions. They are the smallest infectious agents children. They are smaller than the viruses. Virions are smaller than the viruses. So in this, virions are infectious particles made up of only short strand RNA. In this, having the genetic material is RNA. So they don't have any protein coat, they don't have any protein coat to cover the genetic material. So unlike viruses, they don't have any protein coat. So the genetic material is not encoded with the protein coat. In virions children, they are smaller than the viruses. That is why we call it as smallest infectious agents. They do not cover with the protein coat. So they are smaller than the viruses. Only RNA will be present, no DNA and no protein coat will be there. They mostly affected the plants like potato plants. They cause the disease called potato spindle tuber disease, and it is discovered by Theodore Diner in 1971. So the disease first, the virions is first coined by the Theodore Diner. And another more children, virions will be there. So virions are smaller than the viruses. They have the genetic material called RNA. So coming to the virions, these are also infectious proteins, which are virions means nothing but they are abnormal folded proteins children. They are infectious proteins that cause brain diseases in animals and humans too. So virions are they are causing very dangerous diseases because they are directly attacking the brain disease. They are causing the brain disease in animals and plants too. Made up of only protein. Either there is no DNA, no RNA. So cause damage to the nervous system. They cause damage to the nervous system. So spread by eating infected meat, and if the meat will not be washed thoroughly, and before if anyone eat uncooked meat, thereby this disease will be transferred. So examples: mad cow disease in cattle and Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. So it is discovered by Stanley B. Prusiner in 1892. So virions are caused in very harmful diseases. It directly damage to the brain in animals also and humans also. It passed through the uncooked food, uncooked meat especially, and through the uncooked meat it travels to the body of the nervous system, and then it slowly damage the brain. It slowly damage the brain in animals also and humans also. The examples of these prions are mad cow disease and Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease in humans. It is first discovered by Stanley B. Prusiner in 1982. This is about the prions. So children, so let's conclude this. The type of the viruses having smaller than the viruses are virions and prions. The genetic material is made up of only RNA, and the prions, the genetic material is only made up of protein. So it is unfolded protein children, abnormal protein, and it is affected in virions affected only mostly in plants, but prions affected both animals also, humans also. It is discovered by virions are discovered by Theodore Diner in 1971. Coming to the prions, they first discovered by the Stanley Prusiner in 1982. This is about the virions and prions. So coming to its shapes children, where the genetic material is present in the viruses, what are the shapes of the viruses, what are the examples of the viruses, right? The examples of the viruses are, this is the adenovirus children, it is influenza, this is a bacteriophage. Bacteriophage is the virus which attack the bacteria, we call it as bacteriophage. So it is a tobacco mosaic virus, it is a helical in shape. So children, based on these viruses, they are different in shapes. One is it is a polyhedral shape, it is a spherical shape. Bacteriophage is a complex shape. It is a it is a complex shape than other shapes. And coming to it is a tobacco mosaic virus caused in the tobacco plants. It causes a tobacco mosaic virus. It is in a helical in structure. And children, based on these viral shapes, the structure is of the present material. Where the genetic material present in it? Inside the protein coat, genetic material will be there. Here. the genetic material is always protected. Why it is genetic material is protecting children? Because to synthesize its own kinds when it is find the host. So viruses are not living outside the host, but it becomes active and reproduce. When it is become active children, when it is inside the living cell. It much smaller than the bacteria, that is why they are very simple in structure and we call it as viruses. The basic parts of the virus are genetic material, protein coat, and some virus having the envelope. So see, the genetic material, it can be made up of DNA or RNA. The genetic material in the viruses, it is made up of DNA, either RNA. Sometimes it's never both. Example, prions, they are made up of proteins, right? It carries the instructions to make the new viruses. The instructions, the genetic material which carries the genetic information to synthesize its own kinds when it is find the suitable host for it, right? So it carries the instructions to make new viruses, and it is located inside the virus. So they are always present inside the viruses. So if it is the helical shape of the tobacco mosaic virus, it is the genetic material, children. This is how they protect the genetic material inside the inside the viruses. So the protein coat, the outer covering part, we call it as the protein coat. So they have protective covering, and the genetic material helps the we call it as protein coat. The protein coat is made up of lipids, right? The protein coat is made up of fats and proteins, right? It is a protective covering around the genetic material to protect its genetic material, helps the virus to attach the cell. They only helps the protein coat which helps the attach the host cell, and also it protects its genetic, by protecting its genetic material, it is attacking the host to reproduce itself. So in some virus they are having the envelope, the outer covering layer it is made up of lipids and proteins. It is made up of lipids and proteins. So in children, for the envelope of the viruses, they are they are actually not the genetic material of the host, not genetic material of the viruses. It is the envelope, it is almost maximum, it is made up of the host cell membrane. So they are found in some complex viruses like HIV, and it helps in entering the host cells. By entering the host cells, they create the envelope itself not by the viruses, it by the host, right? This is the HIV virus, children. So the genetic the virus shape is mostly the basic parts of the virus, it's mostly the genetic material. The genetic material is covered by the protein coat. Sometimes it is covered by the envelope. Sometimes it is covered by the envelope. Sometimes it is covered by the envelope. The good example of the envelope is HIV virus. It helps in the entering the host cell. Right, children? This is up to viruses. So let's see some of the examples of the plant viruses, and mostly children, in plants the attacking genetic material of the virus is mostly RNA. Mostly RNA. 1 minute. Mostly RNA. Mostly the RNA only is the genetic material which affecting the plants. So some of the examples of the plant causing viruses are, so the virus name is tobacco mosaic virus, which cause the disease in plants like tobacco, tomato, pepper and other solanaceae, which means brinjal plants. So they cause the mosaic pattern and leaf curling and stunted growth. And next, another more example is cucumber mosaic virus. It causes the disease in cucumbers, watermelons, potatoes, tomatoes and peppers. And coming to the another example, children, it is a papaya ring spot virus. It causes the disease in plants, in papaya plants, watermelon and cucumber. The symptoms caused by these viruses are their ring spots on leaves, fruits and leaf distortion. And another more important plant virus example, children, tomato yellow leaf curl virus. It causes the disease in tomato plants. they are yellowing the leaves, they are helps in, they are yellowing the leaf curls. In their yellowing, and leaf should be, the leaves will be curling through the attacking of the virus, and reduce the fruit production will be reduced. These are the examples of the plant viruses. You can not remember all these children, you can remember just the names, it is enough for you. So if they asked, if you want to really can able to write, means you can write the plant names also. And in virus does not do, it does not only cause the plants only, it does cause to the animals too. From the cattle, it affecting the, it causing the disease called mainly foot and mouth disease virus. Foot and mouth disease, it is caused by to the cattle. It is caused to the foot and mouth diseases. The symptoms of this disease is fever, blisters in mouth and feet, and lameness. These are the the after attacking the virus, these are the symptoms shown by the cattle. And some it is a very important children, very important example, bovine viral diarrhea virus. It by causing of these viruses, they they excessive diarrhea will be there seen in the symptoms, and their fever and nasal discharge, abortion will be seen in the virus, is seen in the cattle. So that is caused, agent is bovine viral diarrhea. This is about the virus affecting cattle. And coming to the humans children, the most dangerous virus is HIV. So HIV means human immunodeficiency virus. It causes the disease called AIDS. It weakens the immune system and opportunistic infections. They always, the virus always pick up into the new, can cause the new disease, which means by it weakens the immune system. There it by causes diarrhea, fever, they almost weakens the immune system. That is why it is most, dangerous virus causing to the humans. And influenza virus, it is a flu. The symptoms we can see here is fever, chills, cough, muscle pains and all that. Coming to the most, the most affected viruses, we all know that it's a coronavirus, right? It is a COVID-19. It shows the symptoms like symptoms are fever, cough, fatigue, difficulty in breathing. We all seen this. We all seen this, symptoms in the who affected by the coronavirus. And last example of the virus affecting humans is hepatitis B virus. It is caused the hepatitis B disease, and the symptoms are jaundice, abdominal pain, liver damage. These all will be seen in the virus caused to the humans children. If they asked write the few examples of the virus causing, virus caused in humans, means you can write the HIV, influenza, coronavirus and hepatitis B. The diseases are AIDS, flu, COVID-19, hepatitis B. These are enough to write children. If they are can able to write, it means you can write the symptoms also. It it represents the the effective learning methods. So coming to its conclusion children, while writing the examination, if you write the symptoms also, means the paper will be you can you know more information, right children? So you will get good marks. So by the conclusion children, the virus which cause the plants are mostly seen in the single stranded RNA. Single stranded RNA is causing the most plant. The plants which are suffering from viruses, that mostly are the genetic material is single stranded RNA. Coming to the animal viruses children, they exhibit more diverse range of genetic materials, so they include both RNA also and DNA also, but mostly seen is double stranded DNA. So in plants, the most affected viruses genome having the single stranded RNA. Coming to the animals children, the most affected virus having the genetic material is double stranded DNA. double stranded DNA. This is about the viruses, children. So, they are not the living characters also and non-living characters also. They are in between the borderline between living and non-living. So, let us summarize this, children. So, till now we studied the bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae and viruses. So, I make that beautiful table for you, children, to get the concept to be in your fingertips. See here, coming to we are studying in the first cell structure. The cell structure of the bacteria having, yes, bacteria having the cell wall, the fungi having the cell wall, the protozoa having the cell wall, of course absent. The cell wall in protozoa is not there. In protozoa, cell wall is not there. They are also considered as first animals. They are also considered as first animals because in animal cells also doesn't having the cell wall. So, we can consider as the protozoa are the ancestors for the animal cells. So, viruses, is the virus having the cell wall? No. So, but its nucleoid, its genetic material is covered by the capsid, nothing but the protein coat, nothing but the protein coat. So, coming to the algae, children, they have the cell wall, right? They have the cell wall. Coming, see here, there is not well developed nucleus seen in bacteria. So, bacteria doesn't have any well developed nucleus because the genetic material is scattered in the cytoplasm, right? It enclosed with a gelatin envelope called capsule, nothing but the the capsule, it is surrounded by this capsule. That is why in the hot springs also, in the polar regions also, the bacteria can easily survive. And in the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycans. Coming to the fungi, children, the fungi cell wall is made up of chitin. So, we can see the well developed nucleus. In bacteria we cannot see the well developed nucleus, but in fungi we can see the well developed nucleus. In protozoa also we can see the well developed nucleus. Well developed nucleus means the nucleus is surrounded by the nuclear membrane and nuclear envelope. So, the king of the cell is nucleus, right, children? So, the nucleus is covered by the cell envelope in the protozoa also, in fungi also. In protozoa the chloroplast is absent. In the chloroplast is absent. So, nucleus is one or more, which means having the well developed nucleus only. The cell organelles are present. The presence of cell organelles. What are the functions of the cell organelles? All cell organelles makes to function the cell accurately. They helps in the production of cellular energy. So, coming to the virus, children, they doesn't have any cell organelles and all that because they are not considered as a living organism when it is outside the host. So, coming to the algae, children, they have the nucleus, cell organelles, vacuoles, etc. So, the protozoa and the algae, they are having the cell organelles, so they can perform the more functions. So, this is about the cell structure, children, and coming to the nutrition part. In nutrition, is the bacteria having the chlorophyll? No, that bacteria doesn't have the chlorophyll. The bacteria doesn't have the chlorophyll. It lives as saprophytes, which means if dead organic matter, it depends on the dead organic matter and all that. Parasite, it exhibits the parasitic nature also. It affects the other organisms to observe the nutrients and all that. So, it is maintained, some bacteria maintain a symbiotic relationship also. In crop management onwards, we are studying the rhizome is the best example of this symbiotic relationship, right. The rhizome is present in the leguminous plant roots, thereby it's converting thereby it's their fixation of nitrogen is happening. Coming to the fungi, some having the lack of chlorophyll and they live as saprophytes. Saprophytes means they are depending on the other dead organic matter for their amino acids and for that all. And the bread mold, example is rhizopus. They are parasitic in mildew, down mildew. It is cause the disease in grapes, potato plants. what are the examples? They are in fungi, they are unicellular and multicellular. They are of two types, unicellular and multicellular. In unicellular, the examples are yeast, mildew, and multicellular examples are mushrooms, rhizopus and all that. So, here the down mildew is a unicellular fungi. Some coming to the protozoa, they lack of chlorophyll, some having the chlorophyll. The examples of the chlorophyll having the protozoa name is Euglena. Euglena having the chlorophyll. They can prepare their own food when the light is enough. If it is not, if the nitrogen is, if the light is not penetrates, if the light is not available to the Euglena, it exhibits the heterotropic, which means they depend on the other organisms for the food. So, it is maybe holozoic or saprophytic. Holozoic means depending on the other organisms for their food, and some are saprophytic, which depend on the their organic materials. So, the examples of the protozoa are amoeba, Euglena, paramecium, right children. So, these are the examples of the new protozoa. So, coming to the viruses children, they feed on other organisms only. When it find the host, they are inert when they are not find the host. When they find the host, they are active. They feed on other organisms for they take energy and utilize its its purpose to increase its own kinds. Coming to the algae, they have the chlorophyll. Some mostly algae are aquatic species, and the 70% of the earth, the carbon dioxide fixation happens by the algae only. So, coming to the reproduction modes children, the bacteria is reproduced by binary fission or multiple fission. In binary fission, the parent individual splits into two. The parent individual splits into two. Under favorable conditions, when the they become twice in amount and they make the copies of the DNA and splits into two daughter cells. So, that is the binary fission. In multiple fission, in one cell only they will make the copies of several nuclei, and after the rupture of the cell they produce many multiple daughter cells. So, coming to the fungi, they exhibit the three methods: budding, fragmentation and spore formation. What is meant by budding children? Budding is nothing but the budding example is yeast, right? It is a unicellular fungi. So, it produces the outgrowth, right? When it having the enough food and absorb nutrients, then it produces the outgrowth. When outgrowth is from the parent, after some time it detaches. And again when it is having the enough food and all that, it again produce the outgrowth and detach from the parent. Here the parent is not extinct, which means we can see the parent. In binary fission we cannot see the parent because the parent itself is divided into two. Coming to the here budding children, we can see the parent. Sometimes it produces a chain of buds, right? This is about the budding. Coming to the fragmentation, fragmentation is nothing but the, if it is the organism children, it splits a parts or cut into species, it again regenerate the remaining part of the organism, again regeneration will happen. In fragmentation the regeneration will be happen. In the spore formation, the example is rhizopus. In rhizopus, in sporangia, it is the sporangia having the seed like structures, we call it as spores. When it bursts under the moist conditions, they again fall and produces the again rhizopus. It is a appears like cotton like structures, it is mostly seen in bread molds, right? This long slender like stalk like structures having the hyphae. When they are twisted and tangled together, we call it as mycelium. So, coming to the protozoa, they can be done by asexual modes, which means fission. Mostly they found the fission. In binary fission happens in the amoeba also, paramecium also, euglena also. In favorable conditions, they are able to, division will be happen. Asexual fission will be happen. The parent individual splits into two daughter cells. When the unfavorable condition, the paramecium exhibits the sexual method, right? And for the multiple fission, the example is plasmodium, which causes a disease called malaria, right? The plasmodium in the cyst, it is produces the several nuclei under unfavorable conditions, and when it ruptures the nucleus itself, the daughter nucleus will be coming out. One time it produces the multiple daughter cells. So, coming to the viruses, children, they multiply inside the host. It takes out the machinery of the host. It hijacks the host cells and protein synthesis, and then it takes out the energy from the host, and itself lyses, it kills the host. So, by using the energy of the host, they are living. Outside the host, they are considered as a non-living, right? So, the examples of the viral shapes of the viruses are, their examples are adenovirus, influenza, helical and complex, it is bacteriophage. The polyhedral example is adenovirus, spherical is influenza, and helical is tobacco mosaica virus, and complex is bacteriophage. Right, children? Coming to the last, algae. Algae exhibits both sexual and asexual modes, right? Spirogyra is a best example for the asexual methods. Fragmentation. For the fragmentation, the best example is Spirogyra. The Spirogyra, it splits into parts and then again regenerate the whole part. Right, children? So, this is the best example of the fragmentation, children. So, by the asexual methods, they reproduce by spores. So, these are about the microorganism summary, children. We finished all the microorganisms. We finished the bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae and viruses. So, this is up to today's session, children. So, see here, these are the structure, this is the structure of the bacteria. So, see once, children, the bacteria having the scattered nucleus, right, and having the cell wall. After that cell wall, it is having the capsule. It is made up of gelatinous structure. The cytoplasm is having, and there is no any other cell organelles, only ribosomes are having. Ribosomes function is synthesizing of proteins. Nothing but synthesis means production of proteins. Production of proteins. So, they are having the round structures is there, no children, circular structures. We call it as plasmids, which we call it as plasmids. And the small hair-like structures, we call it as villi. We call it as villi. So, and having the long whip-like structure, we call it as flagella, which helps in locomotion. So, see here, these are it is a best example of the fungi. It is a mushroom. It is a cap-like structure. It is either the bag-like structure. It is having the cap. It is either the bag or umbrella. So, it is having the gills-like structures. Here it is there, no children. They are called as the slits. In that slits, the spores will be present. And in rainy season, the moist conditions, the spores will be fallen into the ground and again raised to the new mushrooms. Right, children? This is how the this is what the structure of the multicellular fungi, example mushroom. You see here, it is a mycelium. The basic structure of the fungi is almost same. For the multicellular fungi also, unicellular fungi also. In multicellular fungi also, the hyphae will twist it together and form the, and we call it as the collection of hyphae is mycelium. So, it is a multicellular, we can see, because it is a macroscopic. And coming to the C here, it is a paramecium, amoeba, and euglena. Euglena having the flagellum. For the locomotion, it will use this flagellum. Right, children? It swims. It is swims for the locomotion. Coming to the paravecium, they have the short like hair like structures, we call it as cilia. They are rhythmically shows its locomotion, which means they when the boat will be there, if you the oars, which means when the oars will be pushes back, it is by the rhythm, like that it will locomotion in the moment of the cilia will be happen. And is amoeba having any cilia or flagella? No, amoeba doesn't have any cilia and and flagella. How they can move when the food is available? They extend its projections like that. We call it as nothing but pseudopodia, false feet. It extends like a projections. We call it as pseudopodia. They are nothing but false feet. Then it is embedded into the with the vacuole. With the help of the breakdown enzymes, it breaks down the complex food substance and absorbs it, and again the waste material which will be again packed into the vacuole, it is come under to the here the cell membrane, then it is jetted out. These three are the best examples of the protozoa. And coming to the viruses, see, they are different in shapes, they are almost depending on the host only. These are the unicellular algae examples are Calomodamus and Chlorella. The multicellular algae examples are Spirogyra, Fucus, Laminaria. The filamentous example is Spirogyra. The colonial example is Volvix. This is the summary of the microorganisms, children. So, I hope you all clear about these 5 microorganisms, right children? In that virus is not considered as a living also, non-living also, right children? So, let us meet in tomorrow's session. So, I hope you all like this session, and if you have any doubts, please comment in the comment section, children, and subscribe the NEET channel. Before I am winding up the class, children, I would like to tell the very important news, children. So, we are starting the foundation course from every 15 days. The second batch is also has been started. So, those who want to interested to this foundation summer camp, children, so you can happily contact the down scrolling number is there, children. You can contact with us. So, there will be provided the access of the classes and our app name called Medwell. So, in that app we are providing the classes. For first 1 week free classes will be there. All basics will be all basics will be explained for you from the basic to the higher level. The main motto of our foundation course is we are teaching you from basic level to the higher level concepts from the based on the exams of NEET and JEE and other competitive exams also. It is very useful, children. So, the mainly we focused on to making you quizzes. And also we are keeping the cumulative assessments, and very important thing, one-on-one interaction doubt clearing sessions will be there. So, I hope all you clear aware of this important news, children. I hope if any queries you can contact with that number, and it is both offline also and online also. For offline people, you can happily come to our institute name called NEET WORLD, present in Hyderabad, Narayanguda near metro station. Those who want to join through online, children, you definitely want to contact with the scrolling number is there, children, you contact with that number. And children, the mode of learning is through digital panel. We are creating you the best animation videos to understand the concept very well in detailed way. So, this is about our foundation course. So, I make sure to join these classes, children.